Hey, fifth graders. My name is Miss Grizzle, and I am a teacher at Sycamore Hills. And today we are going to be starting a week of division. So, our first day is going to be dividing whole numbers. And since we are starting division, I have a division joke of the day for you. Um, how do you divide 17 potatoes between 4 people? You mash them. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our division. So we're going to do this very first problem together, and I'm going to show you a couple different strategies that you can use. Miss Grizzle uses a lot of space when I do my division because there's a lot of extra math that I have to do on the side. So I'm going to get an extra piece of paper right here, and we are going to work through the couple different strategies that you can use. I'm going to show you the first two. And the two that we can use are traditional and partial quotient. A nickname for partial quotient is Big 7. And this one is, they're both super awesome, and they're both just whichever one works best for you is going to be the one that you're going to want to use. So we're going to go ahead and start with traditional, and there's two different ways that you can do traditional. Some people like where it goes down really long, and some people like where it goes over to the side. So I'm going to show you both ways just so that you can choose whichever way works best for you. So the first way I'm going to start is I'm going to write my problem right here. And when I do division, I always use this saying called dad, mom, sister, brother, and rover. And when I'm using this, I like to write a little symbol next to it so I remember what those mean. So I know dad means to divide, mom means to multiply, sister means to subtract, brother means to bring over or bring down, and we're going to talk about that one. And then the R means to check or remainder. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to start with divide. So I'm going to do 2 divided by 4, or I'm sorry, 4 divided by 2, and I'm thinking in my brain, how many times can 2 go into 4? So sometimes that sounds weird, so I always think to myself, 2 times something is going to get me close to 4 without going over, and I know that that's 2 times 2. So I'm going to put 2 up here, and I know 2 times 2 because I'm going to move to my mom, my multiplication step. And something to help me remember to do that is I like to put a little multiplication symbol right there. So I'll do 2 times 2, and I'll get 4, and I'll subtract because my next step is sister, and I have 0. And now I'm going to bring down. So I'm going to bring down this 0. 2 can go into 0 how many times? So 2 times something is going to get me close to 0 without going over. Well, I know 2 times 1 is going to get me 2, so I know that my answer is going to be 0. So 0 times 2 is 0. I'm going to go ahead and subtract that, and I get 0. And move into my next thing. I'm going to bring down. I'm going to bring down my 5. And how many times can 2 go into 5? So I'm thinking 2 times something is going to get me close to 5. Well, I know that 2 times 2 is 4. So I'll do 2 times 2, 4, subtract that, and I get 1. Well, now I'm going to bring down because I'm just following these steps over here. And 2 times something is going to get me close to 10 without going over. Well, I know that that's 2 times 5. So I'm going to put a 5 up here. 5 times 2 is 10. I'm going to subtract, and now I have 0. Now I'm at the point where I'm going to do this remainder, this checking part. I'm going to go over here, and is there anything else to bring down? No, there's not. So now I have to check. Well, is 0 less than 2? It is. And so now I know that I can't do anything else, and I don't have a remainder. So some people will have put remainder 0. Miss Grizzle's okay with just leaving that off, but it's up to whatever you'd like to do. So our next one that I'm going to show you is also the traditional method, and we still use this saying right here to help us, but I'm going to do it this way instead of going down. So I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you that. So I'm going to rewrite my problem, and when I write this problem, I kind of did it a little bit longer, and I'm going to space out this number. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to space it out like that. And you'll see why I do that in just a second. So I'm thinking 2 times something is going to get me close to 4. Well, looking up to what I did earlier, I know that that is 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and I'm going to subtract that, and I have 0. Well, according to this right here, my next step is to bring over. So I'm going to bring this 0 over. Well, how many times can 2 go into 0? Well, I know that that is 0 times. 0 times 2 is 0. I'm going to go ahead and subtract that, and I get 0. And I'm going to bring this over. And 2, how many times can 2 go into 5? Well, I know 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to subtract that. And when I bring that down, or when I subtract, I get 1. And now I have to do the next step, which is bringing it over. So now I have 10. So 2 times 10, or 2 times something is going to get me close to 10. Well, I know that one's a little bit easy. 2 times 5 is going to get me 10. I'm going to go ahead and subtract that. And I'm going to go and do my last step and see if there's a remainder, because there's nothing else to bring down. And 0 is less than 2. So I must have done everything right. And I'm going to go ahead and write my answer off to the side where it's all together like one number. I add that comma, and I'm going to box it. So that is the traditional method. You can do it either way. I know some people like to do it down ways like this, and some people like to do it over like that. So the next one is called Big 7, partial quotients. So when I do this, I start by writing a huge 7, just like that. And I'm going to fill in my next, or my problem. So we're going to do the same problem. And again, I'm showing you all these different strategies so you can choose which strategy works best for you. So I'm going to do 2 and then put this, the dividend, inside, and I'm going to go ahead and start. Well, thinking this through, I have to think 2 times something is going to get me super close to 4,050. Well, I'm going to just do a guess. If you have no idea, you can just guess. So I'm going to do 2 times 20. When I do 2 times 20, I know 2 times 2 is 4, but I'm in the tens place, so I have to add that 0. Well, that's 400. That's nowhere close to, or I'm sorry, that's 40, and that's nowhere close to 4,000. Could I maybe make this number bigger and get closer to 4,000? Yeah, let's try it out. So I'll do 2 times 200. And when I do that, again, I'm going to do 2 times 2. I get 4. But since I'm in the hundreds place, I'm going to add my 2 zeros. Well, that's 400. I still need to get to 4,000. So let's see if I can get even bigger. I'm going to do 2 times 2,000. And well, I know 2 times 2, that's super easy. I know that multiplication table. And then I'm going to add these 3 zeros because I'm in the thousands place. So I have 2 times 2,000 and I get 400. This is where I'm going to use this number right here, this 200 number, or I'm sorry, this 2,000 number. I'm going to write it over here. And I'm going to multiply 2,000 times 2, which I just did over here. I know it's 4,000. So I'm going to subtract that, and I get 50. Okay, so now I have to do 2 times something is going to get me close to 50. Well, some people automatically think like quarters, like 2 times 25 equals 50. They know that one, but sometimes that's a little bit harder because it's a big number. So I did up here do 2 times 20 equals 40, which is less than 50. So I'm going to use that again, 2 times 20, and I know that that equals 40. So I'm going to put my 20 over here. And I'm going to do it again, 20 times 2, and I get 40. And I'm going to subtract that, and I have 10. Okay, well, I need to do 2 times something is going to get me close to 10 without going over. Well, I know that 2 times 5 equals 10. So I'm going to write my 5 over here and multiply again. 5 times 2 is 10. I'm going to subtract, and I get 0. 0 is less than 2. So I'm good to go ahead and have my answer. So my answer is not going to be 2,000 plus 20 plus 5. I have to add it all together, and that's going to be my final answer. So I'm going to line up this problem, and I always line up it by place value. And when I add it together, my final answer is going to be this, 2025. So you can go ahead and choose what strategy you want to use for this worksheet or for this week of division. And you can try different ones and see which one works best for you. But today, your task is going to be working through these 9 problems. We already did number 1 together, so it's actually only 8 problems. So I want you to go ahead and pause this video, and you can work through these problems and have your parents check your answers after you're done. Have a great day, 5th grade. See you next week or tomorrow.